Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. Today I thought I would take you on a tour of all the hydrangeas that I have in my garden. They're all inside my backyard fence because the deer are known to come and munch on them if I put them outside the fence. But I do have several varieties of different types of hydrangeas here in the backyard, and I thought I would share with you how they're doing here in late September. So come with me and let's take a look at the hydrangeas and maybe even cut a few blossoms for some dried arrangements. Now I want to say right off the bat that here in Baltimore, Maryland, we are in Zone 7B, technically in our neighborhood here. There are a lot of different microclimates around the Baltimore area because of the Inner Harbor and the Chesapeake Bay. So all of the water inlets and all of the different areas around the Chesapeake Bay have varying weather. So the water will create warmer temperatures than you might expect, or sometimes colder temperatures than you might expect. Here in the neighborhood that I live in, on the west side of Baltimore City, I'm technically a Zone 7B, which means that in the last 10 years, the average low has been no lower than 5 degrees Fahrenheit. So Zone 7 technically gets down to 0 at the coldest, but Zone 7B is down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just over 32 degrees Celsius. No, it's just over, I have no idea what it is in Celsius. I'll put it on the screen. But the thing about Baltimore is that we are very hot and humid in the summer. All right, not as hot as those of you out west who have had to suffer temperatures over 100 degrees very consistently over the last couple summers, but I would say that we are very humid here. Typically, our humidity in the summertime, especially in July and August, can be over 80% every day, relative humidity. And so the nights never cool down. I think our lows at night are often in the high 70s, lower 80s even, with very humid conditions. So hydrangeas, which in the northern climates without that hot night situation, the cooler nights bring in the autumn, they bring pink colors to your hydrangeas. So like your Limelights or your Bobos or your Incredibles or many of the types of hydrangeas, which here for us, they flower and then they turn green and then they turn brown. Usually in the northern climates, when you have cooler nights or less humid nights, they will turn a soft pink color. So my hydrangeas here aren't always as spectacularly beautiful as they could be just a few, a couple hundred miles north of here where it's a lot cooler at night. So anyway, so that's the proviso that our hot nights make for not great fall hydrangeas. But I wanted to share with you today that I do have some color coming on my Limelight and a couple of my other types of hydrangeas. So that's what inspired me to do this video this morning, is the fact that my Bobo and my Limelight are getting the tiniest little bit of pink color. Yay! So anyway, so the first hydrangea I want to share with you is this one right back here. This is Invincible Mini Mauvet. This has completed its second year of growth here in the garden, and when I received it, it was only a little tiny quart-sized pot. So it's got weeds around it. Sorry, I didn't do any weeding this morning. Get that off of there. Okay, so Mini Mauvet. It was beautiful color in the midsummer, and then I just left all the blossoms on, and now they have turned this papery green. Some of them are turning brown, and that's due to drought or excessive heat late in the season. But they're pretty, and I've left them on. Mini Mauvet, I think, has beautiful dark green glossy leaves, sort of glossy, actually sort of not glossy, very strong stems. And given that this is only in its second year of growth, and it really didn't do much last year because it struggled for a little while, I'm very happy with this. I think this one only gets to be in the 4 to 5 foot tall and wide range. I may end up having to move these hydrangeas, but for this year, this was nice having these. These are frozen Margarita hydrangeas wrapping around the base of this. What did I say? Hydrangea? Oh my gosh. Hosta. Whew. My brain. I need more coffee. So the frozen Margarita hostas around the bottom of the hydrangea. So there we go. So Mini Mauvet has turned a beautiful green with some of them going brown. The next collection of hostas, these have been here 5 or 6 years. These are Endless Summer, the original Endless Summer. So these are supposed to, they're macrophylla, and they're supposed to bloom on old and new wood. So you should have early summer blooms and then also late summer blooms. Now, I didn't get very many late summer blooms on this, but I did get a couple. Most of the blooms have been weighted down and are bowing down toward the ground. You can see down there. Those are the blooms that came in the earliest part of the season. And then this growth here was the new growth in the midsummer, and I was hoping to get some flowers on the tips of these branches, but I didn't get them. You can see the leaves are starting, well, that's actually bird droppings on those leaves from the tree overhead. Anyway, so some of the flowers have dried up, but many of them are beautiful, and they do have some pink color on them. Now, when they're in full fresh season, these range from pink to blue to lavender because our soil is pretty neutral right here. So I did get several of these beautiful flowers, and this one here, I think, was one of the ones that came later in the season. So these are all looking really nice, actually. And it's interesting to me, this one was bowing down like that. And so the top of it turned pink while the bottom of it turned green. And that, I'm guessing, has to do with cold night air coming and settling down on this, but not settling down here. So the air down here under the plant stayed a little bit warmer. And so the cold air brushed the top of it with pink. Yeah, that's what happened down here as well. Isn't nature wonderful? Science, right? Or miracles, whichever way you choose to look at it. Now on this one, it's a beautiful, gorgeous, big blossom. Very nice. And some more down here on the ground that have faded. I have 4 endless summer hydrangeas along here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And all 4 of them did pretty well this year. I kept them more moist because I did put some irrigation on them. And so they liked having the water that they got this year. So, pretty blooms. In the corner, it's a little bit messy right now, but that's because we're in a construction zone. This is a twist and shout. This is my favorite type of hydrangea. Unfortunately, this year we had a little bit more hot drought weather than we did last year, so the plant didn't send up as many new shoots during the summer as it did last year. And the spring blooms, which I did not deadhead, I could have deadheaded them, and that might have encouraged more summer blooms on it. But the spring blooms are still here. They have gone to seed, and the seeds have all popped off, and the bracts from the lace caps remain, and they did turn a pretty fall rosy color with a little bit of green still in there. So this is my favorite style of hydrangea. It also is supposed to bloom on old and new wood. Again, here is a new wood stalk that came up in the middle of the summer. I was hoping for blooms on it, didn't get it, but I also didn't get very many new wood stalks this year because of the heat that we had, and I didn't keep it watered enough. We're still in the middle of our construction zone here, so please forgive that. Over here in a container, I have a Bobo, and this is why I wanted to share this video with you today, because look what Bobo's doing. It's turning pink like it's supposed to. Woohoo! We finally, again, there's green on the bottom and pink on the top. We finally got some cool nights in the last 2 or 3 nights, and cool weather and down into the 50s or even the high 40s. And so the Bobo has rewarded us with the tiniest little bit of pink color on the spent blossoms. There is some brown, that's again from drying out too much, but I'm happy because, yeah, there's more brown down that way. But I've never seen that our paniculatas get pink on them. And look, here's a fresh bloom on it still. But I'm just so happy to see the pink on it. Now, I know those of you who live in the north, you're like, what's the big deal, Jenny? It happens all the time. Not for us, it doesn't. So it's very exciting. Right next door to the Bobo that's in a pot is an Incredible that is in the ground. These stems are last year's weak stems from when it was in the pot. And then these tall stems are this year's strong stems. I'm hoping that over time we'll get more and more strong stems, and it'll do like it's supposed to do, with put on these big blossoms on tall, sturdy stems, and just really be a nice plant in the landscape. I'm looking for pink on here. Do you see any pink? I see brown, which I could fool myself into saying is pink, but it's not. That's not pink. That's brown. I don't know. Maybe if we get another cool night, it'll give us some pink, maybe. That's okay. So I have some big flowers from this year's stems, and then I have some little flowers from last year's stems. So I like them in both sizes. Here's one that's mostly dried up. It's gone a little bit brown, but very papery. Yeah, very nice. I forgot to show you up here. I have a little bit of a plant nursery going on, and also, oh my gosh, here's a hosta that I dug out of the ground and didn't do anything with, except I divided it, and oh, it's suffering. But this is one of the lancifolia hostas that if I stick this in the ground and water it, it'll totally live. So I'm not too worried about it yet. Anyway, here I have two hydrangeas in pots. These are the Let's Dance Rave type of hydrangeas, and they bloom really deep, rich colors in the summer, and then they fade to these deep, rich autumn colors, which are very nice. These are the ones that I had split off of another plant, and I potted them up last summer in, I would say, like July or August of 2021, and I kept them in these pots since then, and they've grown, and they're very nice. I am going to be putting these into the ground soon, but I haven't yet. So anyway, I've been keeping them struggling along, and so that's why some of these again are brown, and I forgot to water them recently, so they're a little floppy right now. I did water them this morning. Anyway, they'll perk up. But these Let's Dance Rave hydrangeas do have very pretty fall color. Let's go look at this guy. This is my Limelight. This Limelight was installed in the spring of 2021, so it's had 2 full summers to grow here. I believe it was in a 3-gallon pot, and now it's fully 5 feet tall. So I'm very happy with that. Yes, again, look, it's giving us some pink. Yay! I mean, that's not brown. That's truly pink. So that is what I'm hoping will continue to turn more pink. I'm going to leave these on here for maybe just another couple of nights. I'm going to look at my forecast and see if the nights are supposed to continue to be cool. If they are, I'm going to let these stay on here. If the forecast says the nights are going to stay warm again, I'll trim some of these off and do some dried flower arrangements with them. And while we're here, let's just enjoy this aster. Oh, so pretty. I love that color. So, Limelight, yay. Thank you for beautiful blooms, Limelight. I love it. Let's go down this way. Look at Summer Crush. Now, I recently bought 2 more Summer Crushes. I'm going to be moving this guy out of here into a more prominent location, but for now, he's still here, and his 2 friends are down on the driveway. This is Summer Crush Hydrangea. This is part of the Endless Summer series as well. This one stays only about 2 by 2, so a nice small hydrangea. Look at the gorgeous healthy leaves on this. Isn't that awesome? Ah, such a pretty plant. And then the blossoms are beautiful now. They're a little bit brown here and there, but still pretty. Lots of pink and green. This is a really rich magenta color in our soil. The more higher pH you have, the deeper magenta it gets. And if you have a lower pH, it's still pink, but less of a really deep color and more of a brighter hue. So this is a gorgeous plant. I'm happy. This again is 2 seasons of growth in its place. I'd say that is already full size. It's only supposed to get 2 by 2. I believe it is 2 by 2. And before you ask, this is my DIY bubbler water fountain that I posted about last summer. And I've had a lot of viewers join the channel because they saw that video. So welcome again if you're new because of that video. Not much sun happening, that's why it's spurting so sporadically. Anyway, Summer Crush, looking good. Down here behind the patio, the new patio that just got finished this week. I haven't done any landscaping down here yet, but I did arrange these 3 Let's Dance Rave hydrangeas behind the patio so far, just as a temporary measure. These are in pots. I had them in the ground last summer, and then in the middle of the summer I pulled them out of the ground and put them in these pots because of this tree. This is a black walnut tree, and black walnuts put out a chemical into the soil that makes certain plants, actually a lot of types of plants, fail. And so these hydrangeas, these are Let's Dance series Rave hydrangeas, they are not compatible with black walnuts. That's why I put them into pots. They've been living and thriving in these pots. I do need to remember to water them. They're not on automatic irrigation at this time. But in the future, I'm either going to keep them in containers and keep them on irrigation, or I'm going to perhaps find a place for them to live in the ground somewhere in this area, so that they're away from the walnut tree sufficiently that they'll be able to thrive a little bit better. Maybe somewhere up around there, maybe in this area here, not sure. Anyway, they are also gorgeous with beautiful, rich autumn colors. Nice, rich, kind of a scarlet ruby, maroon pink. How would you describe this color? I don't know. Beautiful is how I would describe this color. Now, some of the blossoms, again, have dried up and turned brown, like back there. But there are several here that are really, really pretty. So I'm happy with that. And the last set of hydrangeas that I have in the garden are these strawberry Sundae hydrangeas that are out here in front of the back porch. These were totally trimmed by the deer. You can see the dead trimming ends. The deer came up here on our courtyard and ate almost all the blooms off of my strawberry Sundae hydrangeas. I have 3 plants here. The middle one, for some reason, is not thriving as much as this one is, or that one. But this plant here had, looks like 4 or 5 blooms on it on the very back. The deer ate all the rest of them. The deer ate all but 2 of the blossoms off of this one, and the deer ate a lot of these, and they didn't reach them all because I had stuff on the ground here. So that's the only reason that there were some here. Now, these did not get enough water during the heat of our summer, and so they dried up. So these are not as pretty as the other ones that we have in the garden. So I mentioned that some of the hydrangeas don't do well underneath black walnut trees, but there are some hydrangeas that do well, and that is the smooth hydrangea. Hannah, what are you doing? What are you doing? You silly girl. The smooth hydrangea, or Hydrangea arborescens, those types can handle living under a black walnut tree. That's why I have the Invincibelle mini mauvet over by the north side garden, in the north side garden. And also, I'm going to be getting some more of the arborescens type to put down by the patio. I just don't have them yet, but I need to research and see which ones I want to put down there for size control, for color, for the shade tolerance that it has, etc. So smooth hydrangea, Hydrangea arborescens, can live near black walnut trees. So if you have black walnuts in your yard and you want hydrangeas, look for the arborescens type. I'm going to do a quick harvesting of some, not all, of my hydrangea blossoms so that I can make some arrangements with them. I saw Danielle at North Lawn Flower Farm put up a short the other day about making a grapevine wreath covered with hydrangea blossoms, and I think I'm going to do that. So thanks, Danielle, for that suggestion. And then we'll see what else I can find and what other kind of arrangement I can put together. I am going to take some of these Bobo blossoms, even though I think they might get pinker if I leave them for another cool night or two. But I think they're gorgeous, and I want some of them, so I'm going to get some. Cutting above a leaf node so that in the spring it will grow new stems from there. And I'm going to store my blossoms in this basket for the time being. All right, so I got those off of the Bobo shrub. I'm leaving quite a few. Mostly I'm leaving the ones that had too much brown on them, or spider webs on them, or misshapen, or whatever. So it'll give me, from afar, it'll give me some interest on this plant in the garden, but I'll be able to use these as well. I'm going to use the same approach for all my other hydrangeas. I'm going to see what I can get off of them, and leave some on the plants and take some inside. So this one you can see the new leaf nodes are already coming out for next spring. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off here. And I haven't compromised anything for next season. I took some of them off, but I left some as well. Leaving them does nothing other than give you something interesting to look at in the winter. So yeah, I'm going to leave those. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you about this twist and shout over here. How could I forget? It's my favorite. Oh my gosh. All right. So this twist and shout hydrangea is my all-time favorite plant that I have in my garden. It's huge. It's like 5 feet wide now and about 4 feet tall. And this year it didn't perform as gloriously as it did last year. Again, I think the drought and the extra heat wave that we had didn't do it any favors. But you can see it's got all this new growth. This is the one that I showed you how to do layering so that you could propagate it. And in fact, here's its little baby back here. That little tiny baby has grown very nicely this season already. So I already have some other layering projects going on with this one. I'll be able to divide this out into several plants next spring. So yeah, this is Twist and Shout. Again, this one is supposed to, it's the same as the one up by the hose, and it's supposed to bloom on old and new wood. These flowers are from last year's wood, and this is this year's wood that didn't really put any blooms on it, but that's okay. Still a gorgeous plant and still my favorite, even though it didn't give me 2 types of blooms this year. Anyway, so these I'm going to leave on. They're not all that incredibly gorgeous for taking inside to use in an arrangement, unless you just want this texture, which, you know, depending on what you're going for, maybe that's what you want. But, oh, hey, look. I lied. It did give me new blooms. Look at that. It's in bud. Oh, my goodness. And look back there. Ooh, a new blossom. It is September 24th, guys, and it's putting out new blossoms. It's just spectacular. So anyway, my favorite hydrangea ever. I'm not going to take any blossoms inside for this. That's not the look I want for my arrangements. So I'm just going to leave these on the plants throughout the winter. And I'll trim them off in the spring. Just deadhead them in the spring because if you cut too deeply into this plant, you lose the blossoms. So it's already setting its buds for next year's blossoms, so I don't want to cut those off now. All right, that is a lovely bounty, a harvest of hydrangea blossoms, friends. Oh, yeah, now let's do a project. Many thanks to Danielle from North Lawn Flower Farm for this idea. I'm going to take just a simple grapevine wreath that I bought at the craft store, and I'm going to simply take the stems of the hydrangeas, take the leaves off, and I'm just going to tuck them into the grapevine wreath. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to glue them, you don't have to wire them, nothing. The grapevine will hold them in. So thank you, Danielle, for this idea. Let's see what we can make. That's gorgeous. Now I am going to lay it down on the table as I work. That way I can hang it on a wall and I won't have to worry about it. I'm going to use some of these came off the Incredible, but they're not very big, are they? But I'm going to use these as little green accents on the inside. That. And I'm going to mix in some of these really richly colored ones and just kind of do a random assortment around the edges of the wreath form. Now, I don't think I need this stem to be this long, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. So already it's starting to look gorgeous. I need to make sure that I don't fill up the center too much, otherwise it'll look like just a big old pom-pom, won't it? Not that that would be terrible. As I'm working, I'm finding that it is best to put the stem all the way up as close to the flower head as possible to keep it from flopping when you turn it upright. This one, for example, if I could get that to be tighter in there, any little bit tighter, that'd be better. Now, some of these stems are stronger than others, so they may end up flopping on me a little bit, like this one. But you can see I pulled that stem all the way down tight with the grapevine, so hopefully it won't flop out. coming right along. Now, depending on what design you're going for, I could stop right here, and I think I could put a bow down here, and it would be a nice little thing. Or, what if I hung it this way, and I could nestle in maybe some of these sedum. In fact, that's a really good idea. You could take some of these Autumn Joy sedum stems and stuck them in there just like that as well, and they too would dry in place. What a great idea. But I think I'm going to keep to hydrangeas only for this one, and I think I am going to fill it out all the way around just because I have such beautiful blossoms here to work with. All right, guys. I love it. A couple notes about this project. One, it's so fun and so cheap. All you need is a grapevine wreath. Go do this project. Number two, there are spiders crawling out of these plants, just a little tiny kinds. So beware, if you take this indoors, you're gonna have some wildlife joining you. So I don't know what to do about that. Maybe I'll just keep this outdoors. I don't know. And number three, I couldn't help it, but you can see this side is flatter than this side. This side got poofier, and it's a little bit shorter, less poofy over here, so you can do a better job arranging yours, or you can just live with it like I'm going to. I'll probably make this the top side so that when it hangs, you don't really notice. Thank you for joining me today on my hydrangea summary and this cute little project here for the hydrangeas. So I hope you had a wonderful day in your gardens, friends, and I hope that you find a use for your hydrangea blossoms as well. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.